Alright guys, gonna go over another game. This is game 2 from the scrims tonight. Um, the first game we had tons and tons of issues. I may go back and do one on that as well. This is a game that we won, that we could have made uh, way easier on ourselves if we just transition and play around our strongest points a little harder earlier than we do basically. So we're gonna go through the game. Obviously, um, this is something Visual brought up as well during the game. Is we have, especially when we get to your W evolve, like our siege is incredibly strong because we can do so much poking and disengaging with Syndra and Vel'Koz, as well as like I mentioned your W. So for them to actually get onto us, especially when we have a lead, it should have been a lot easier to basically crack turrets, especially the outer and inner before the inhibitor turrets. We should have been able to just do a lot more earlier than we did. But overall, we played this game a lot better. But we'll go over some of the mistakes. First thing, this is something I talk to you guys about almost every game, is whenever we're going to go ward this pixel for level 1, we need to do it together for this exact reason, because now Toads is half health going into lane, um, because he had no backup. So they just basically had free reign on him and everything was out of his control there. We just need to send back up there, because if it is Sindra and him there, we win that 2 versus 2 in the early parts with his Q and Syndra's Q, because if you get a knock up on that Cassiopeia, you're just going to basically shit on her, and the York's level 1 is garbage. So just got to make sure. And this is the second thing that I wanted to go over. We just saw it right there. Something we talk about a decent amount. Um, but I would like to stress this a lot more to you guys, is just in general, every lane, every player, doesn't matter, is paying the other players a little bit more respect, because it seems like we have a very common tendency of getting behind in a lot of games and having to basically dig out of holes instead of being the team that's on top of it and rolling the snowball ourselves. This game, obviously, we did get a lead, but this kind of thing right here is two things already within the first 2 minutes of the game. We've already done incorrectly. We didn't ward together to protect ourselves, especially solo laners, where you're the ones that get ganked. You can get the early pressure and get killed earlier in the game, or be forced to flash and play safe. And then the bottom lane, you guys just need to just give more respect to who we're playing versus. You already mentioned that Xayah is one of your bigger counters, being Kaisa. So just giving them free damage like this, I know you guys trade back decently well here in the overall fight, but it's just something that's a common thing, especially when we play versus a Thresh. This is something I bring up a decent amount every time that we're in it. The early levels, we're basically trading, losing trades because we're not just showing them respect. Like, I know you guys are a good bottom lane, but look at the trade now. So they clearly won this trade against us. And something else we have to take in consideration is that they have shield in this case on the Xayah. So out of combat, she's just gonna get a lot more back. You have to constantly auto attack, and that means you would be shoving, basically setting yourself up for a gank versus a thresh lane. So these are just small details that we need to just always keep into consideration, and that goes for all of you guys. Every role, it doesn't matter. We need to be more, you know, don't be cocky or arrogant about things. Let it progress, because this lane, once we get to a certain level, same with mid lane, we start winning. So Just make sure we give them a little bit more respect in the earlier levels especially. Okay, the next thing we're going to be doing, I believe, is the 2 versus 2 bottom that we had talked about. And this is just going to be a... I just missed it, sorry. Let me go back here. You guys get first blood here too. We can watch that. It's a good job by you two. Uh, I believe you. It was a really poor counter gank by him. So I'll show you what I was talking about earlier. So completely agree with what you're saying, where you have to play further back because of the feathers, Indigo. But you'll see as soon as she flashes forward to ensure she gets this kill, you take a step backwards when you could easily go forward. And you would have got this kill without having to use your flash. So right there, God, because they're like I was mentioning, they are completely focused on visual here. So you're walking up obviously now, which is good. Her feathers are over on this side, but you'll see right here. You literally, there's no way for her to get out, and you know that Thresh's cooldowns are done too. You should not be walking this way. We just saw that we killed the Nunu as well, so we know where he's at. You should be literally just making sure that this bitch isn't getting away, and then you have a very strong chance of um, forcing his flash out of him too. You most likely won't kill him, but you could get him close enough probably um, to death as well. So just being able to burn his flash. So just because how everything happened here, they just purely focused on visual. You could have got this without having the flash, is what I'm saying. So right there, when you take just that little tiny step backwards, it's so simple or so small, but it actually made the difference because now then you're still walking backwards, still walking backwards. They have like his cooldown just came up. Like this is as soon as his cooldown came up. If you were on this side of the lane, she's dead. And like I was mentioning, this dude is you're gonna burn his flash as well. And the most important part about this whole thing is we know that he just died middle. So this is really important when it comes to communication for everyone that we all need to get better at is anytime you see the jungler, I don't give a shit if you just he just peeps his head in or not. You need to call it out to the team because I know specifically Toads has asked multiple times tonight, um, does anyone know where Nunu is? And we may have just, your response may be, yeah, he was just bottom. We just need to call that out right away because then it allows him, if he's in a winning matchup, to play more aggressive. And also, it would also just if we would have communicated this as well, then maybe Indigo's reaction to this fight would have been different with him being more aggressive. So this is communication. Um, this could very well be a communication thing where we could have traded back a kill onto our carry because look, the Thresh got the kill for them as well. And then we could have forced his flash out and then just taken taken over this 2 versus 2 matchup earlier in the game. So we just need to keep that in mind that you guys see something that's especially jungler related in the early parts of the game because we need to track them. And especially you can call it out and help Nico out so then Nico knows, okay, I can go invade this side of the map afterwards. So like he said, the way this was played, it's not worth for him to flash here because then it just makes him so much more um, susceptible. I can't speak, Jesus. So much easier to gank with a Thresh Nunu lane. So the way it ended up playing out, he was correct to hold on to his flash here and not try to go for this, especially since we didn't have vision in this bush at the time, I don't believe. So, but our communication could have literally just snowballed our bottom lane so much quicker if we would have just said where Nunu was a little like as it happened, so he could have positioned uh, more appropriately as their 2 versus 2 went on. And if it was communicated, you should know that you can be a lot more aggressive in that situation as well, especially when they're focusing on visual. So the next one is a really good um, gank setup here. It ends up being a counter gank. We don't have any vision of Nunu, but we do know that his red should be coming up, as you can see on the map here. So this is a really good job by Nico and the bottom lane. You'll see, and their communication is really clear as soon as it starts happening that we're just going to focus him because we're all three on top of him right away, and then the communication is really good afterwards where we don't have anything up for cooldowns to continue chasing, so we immediately just end it with a 1 for 0, which is great. Communication in this fight was fucking perfect. Like, this is the kind of stuff that you guys should be doing all the time. You see, you get the kill, and immediately you guys are telling each other, Visual and Nico are saying they're on cooldown right now, so just to chill out. So that's what we do. So this was very well done. It was a good job of you coming down to focus bot like we talked about. It ended up being a counter gank, which was great because we got to focus the Nunu. So, and now we know Nunu does not have flash, and we can take even more advantage of that. Let's see. Um, and the last thing for this part as well, so since it is 6:30 and we know that the second buffs are coming up, you also have a ward, and we have priority middle, and bottom lane doesn't exactly have priority yet, but they can control them enough to stay in here with them. That this should be at least an invade for vision, but you could. I'm pretty sure you could easily get this red buff in this instance, and then go get your blue scot free, because mainly because we have um, the priority middle as well, right here. So here he has a nice lead on the Cassiopeia. So as soon as you guys get this kill and you make the good communication stating that we cannot continue to try to get more out of these two here, that your next thing should be is because we know what time it is. This is the most important part. We know what time it is that this buff is coming up right now. Um, that we should be translating into more of a now a denial from the Nunu as well. So just remember, you guys did great talking about who you're focusing, then calling off pursuing anymore. And as soon as that's over, though, every role, every one of you should be, okay, what's next for us? What are we doing next? You two can go back to poking and just laning, because this is looks like it's going to. I don't think it's going to push either way. It looks like it'll stay kind of relatively the same. We do have blue buff on him. And then for you, Nico, like I said, then he's still dead for 9 seconds. Plenty of time to get over here, um, do the red buff, and then jump out. Um, they may respond with the dragon, but that's something they end up getting by other means this game. But just think about that kind of stuff. You guys had really good communication, really good execution on getting the kill, and then just remember, look, we have priority, so we can start taking over this part. Next part's 1040. This is a big issue that we have as a group. And this is something that is a very good job by Toads, because in the actual communication, Um, this is something else I want us to talk about too. Talk about what's important to the game too. Sometimes we're just talking about moments of frustration, but we need to keep the communication clear. Toad's just trying to let us know we have TP advantage right now, and we were kind of talking over it, but he reiterates it. And instead of setting up a play with the bottom lane, um, he sees on his own because he just went back that you guys start fighting um, 2 versus 3 because you're not fighting. You're getting ganked, and we had some vision, I believe, in this bush down here. So he makes a TP play, and then Indigo becomes crazy strong. But this is something that we could also be talking to each other like we talk. We I bring this up all the time of setting up aggressive plays. So this is a perfect time to do too because Nico can come right up here and just cover, gain experience for free under the turret. Obviously, he'll take some harass, but this is the kind of stuff we need to be talking about. So, and I'm fairly certain that we don't have any vision in this river right now, which we're going to go into in a little bit. But now we can start to play. Nunu's coming down on the gank with Thresh. And the amount of damage that you two do just as a two-man lane, excuse me, is ridiculous. Like, um, if you were level 6 here, you may have actually survived this, but we'll go ahead and play this out. So if you were level 6, he may have actually died from this, but this you can see that we now have the TP being used by Toads down here, which is great, because no matter what, we're cleaning this up. We're getting 2 kills back at least, and we're not going to lose Indigo or the Scion. Indigo does a good job with his positioning, using his Q, and then we just get the second kill onto him. And then in the same time, Nico's now going up here to cover after he just denied um, Nunu some more there. So this is really good teamwork. But this is something we didn't even talk about. This is just Toads paying attention because he's walking back the lane. So imagine if he was in lane and he just communicated that to you guys. Nico's still on this side, but we don't call for anything or talk about it ahead of time. This is why we need to clean up our um, communication a lot more. Next one's 13. So this is going to be Dragon Fight. So this is right now we are unbelievably strong in the mid and AD carry role. Vel'Koz, Mr. Visual, does tons of damage himself. And Kha'Zix, Nico obviously does damage. You're going to see how this plays out some. Excuse me. We get good damage onto Thresh to start, and they're kind of separated because they got 3 here and they have the Xayah down here, and we know that they don't have teleports, and neither do we. So the most important part about this whole thing right here is this young man is going back, and I'm very certain that he communicated this because he said, I don't have any mana, I need to go back. But then we continue to pursue fighting here, which is a mistake. All we should try to do is try to poke them down. Excuse me, try to poke them down until he can come back and assist us. Cause look at the damage we just did with with 2 spells on the fucking Thresh. And now we're getting pincered, so we should really slow down. This is something I mentioned to you guys a lot. Slow down. Don't have to try to force everything. Do good return damage here as well. And then this is where it gets like this right here is us surrendering the dragon no matter what, because communication should be that she still has flash. We should know the summoners, we're timing stuff. We should know all this stuff. You don't have flash for like 5 more seconds too. So now Kessler's still on base. We're really outnumbered, and we're about to lose our jungler for free. So this is the reason why I always mention to you guys slow down, especially when we have stuff like this. Like we mentioned at the beginning of this, we can siege because we have so much poke and disengage. Same thing right here. You can just slow down the game and just poke and disengage them. But now we lose the dragon, we're losing vision. It's just it's all bunch of losses in this instance when it should not be anything but us breaking even at the worst case scenario. And then this is a mistake that we always talk about too, is over pursuing and things like this. This guy is going to die now 100% to Indigo because there's no reason for them to go for this shit, knowing how strong he is, and Visual does an insane amount of damage. These two can't back him up, but this is the stuff that we do a lot too, so this is them needing to slow down. So you guys really need to, like, every instance of the game. That's why I always say what's next. And you can be it in within the next fucking 15 seconds to 30 seconds, but usually thinking bigger picture in the next 2 minutes. What's next for the team? What are we gonna do? So the most disappointing part about this whole game is how strong we are right here. These three, and we never advance vision into this jungle like the entire game. We have Kessler playing on basically their side of the lane and pinching to one side usually. But you can see basically they're the ones that have controlled since we started this the river vision almost the entire game, even though we have these this huge advantage right here. This is a big mistake by us. This is how we can lose our leads in the lane, especially now with the shutdown gold shit that they added to the game, is not getting vision to protect our leads. So this is something easily that we could just transition into. Um, we have lane priority here. We now have lane priority here as well. So we have literally the whole bottom side. This up here, if we don't have vision right now, it's not as big of a deal because we don't have priority in the top lane yet. We still have priority in mid, so that could still work in our favor to try to get that. But most importantly right now is we want to keep our bottom lane and the mid lane safe. So the best thing for us to do is to gain vision control on this side of the map. And we never advance it. That's something we really need to do, and that's something we need Visual and Kessler to work with Nico a lot once we get priority in lanes. Okay, let's go to the next one. So this next one is, this is what I was mentioning to you. So look, this is 5 minutes later in the game. We now have vision control in the river, which is good, but still we don't have any vision control on this side of the jungle. And this is something Kessler was thinking of here, was trying to get some type of a roam. He was going to actually roam bottom and try to make a play with you guys, which is great. But he runs into a pink ward and has to clear it. But the biggest problem in this instance is you've been in the field for way too long. Since that last dragon fight, you've been in there. You've been in the field, and look, the dragon's literally coming up. So you've been in the field for like 4.5 minutes after that last buy. Without buying, you've gained another kill plus farm. Look at your farm. You're up 60 farm, and you're gonna stay out. You're gonna clear that pink ward, which is fine, but you should just immediately um, go back basically. If they get some damage on the mid lane turret, who gives a fuck? Like this right here, what you're about to do is insanity. Because you also have this shut down on you. We haven't seen their jungler in a minute. This should have just been you basically clearing that pink ward. It was great. You were going to try to go make a play bottom, even though you probably should have just been going back at that point because you've been in the field way too long. Um, and then you just end up giving gold to the Cassiopeia for no reason. And that's, remember, that was a 750 gold shutdown as well. So this is, again, we lose vision control now as well. You just gain a little bit of vision control with that pink ward there, but this is a common issue with you, Cass. We need you to just look at your gold you have in your pocket, your back timings, all that stuff. It's just really important so we can continue to keep our leads because now this gold lead is only 1200 when it was around 2K. So we just got to work on getting you comfortable and going back earlier because the sooner you buy even the next piece of your item, the sooner you'll be able to carry. Especially when there's 30-second stuff with Dragon coming up at that moment as well. So this is same scenario. Um, this is something Kessler brought up as well about pink wards. We have pink wards in our inventory. We only have this is exactly what I was talking about too, where we have them down, but then we don't advance our vision. There's no turret in the bottom lane, and we still have a pink ward here. Whoever's pink ward this is, which is most likely Visual or Indigo's, needs to be advanced somewhere out onto this map. Don't I don't give a shit where it is. This pink ward's doing nothing for us at this point in the game, so we need to make sure that we advance our vision. And imagine if we're losing this game, which right now we're up by 9 kills, but we're only up 4.3 thousand. This league could be so much bigger at this point. Um, but we buy wards, but we don't seem to put them down and like keep advancing our vision. Like we have a good pink ward here, which is it's an offensive ward, and I don't think we have any other pinks unless the Nunu is clearing one right now, and obviously the one like I mentioned that's not doing anything for us. So we need to really start working on that of getting our wards down and everything like that. And we have no vision in this top side of the river again right now. And since we are already lane swapped with the top and the bottom. That now our priority for vision should now switch to the other side, especially when Baron is up. So we should have priority with our mid and bot lane on this side of the map now, since Toads is down here. So we need to translate that a lot better. And then things like this happen where Visual is getting some of the vision control back on the opposite side of the map. And like I just mentioned, um, Dragon's not up for 2 minutes. Like this side of the map, we don't really care about the vision control right now because the only objective that's coming up is on this side of the map. So clearing this pink ward's good, but beyond that into the river at this point, we don't need in this instance. So we need to be getting ready to go ward on that side. So you might want to go back since you only have one in your pocket as well. So we just see the Nunu clear the pink ward at Baron as well, and we're gonna die right here. You don't have flash up, nothing. Like this should be you literally being back here going to base to get more wards for us instead of um, again we're just giving them free gold. And this is just a common thing that we all do. All five of us we give free gold, and it just needs to become not a habit of ours because now we lose map pressure, control everything, where they literally can get all the vision back in their favor, everything like that, and they can start pressuring us. Or most importantly for them is they can. This is the instance you guys are talking about. You thought they would do Baron too. There's no way they would do Baron because you guys literally could 4 versus 5 or 5 them still here with the poke damage you could put on them before you would even have to go into the pit. Um, but as I was going back to is just knowing where the next objective is and making sure we advance our vision into that area whenever we have all the control in the game. We just now gave them a kill, and now they can slow down the game and get experience and gold safely while they're trying to claw back into the game. So that's why these mistakes, like slowing down the game like this, is something that we all have bad occurrences of doing that, and we just need to make sure that we don't do those things. Okay. I don't remember why I wrote this part down. It says mid-turn. Oh, this is another common thing we talked about in the last VOD as well. So we know where York is right now. He has TP advantage on us as well, which is something we should be aware of. But this is the same thing we talked about last time, is there's 4 people here and we only have Nico and Kessler here. You should just back up. Let them have this turret for now while we regroup. This ends up being a really bad fight for them because of how strong you guys are in comparison to them. But just take the same instant from that last one of the last VODs that we did as well, where we mentioned that you stayed at this turret for too long. And that game was a lot closer, and they translated that into I believe, into an inhibitor, or it was Baron. They got a big objective off of getting that pick. This one's a lot different just because of the strength of our team, but this is still a big mistake. This turret's going down. You should not be anywhere near this at all. And again, us communicating and timing people's summoners and things, we should know Thresh has his flash as well. So immediately this is going to get turned on its head for us. But like I mentioned, since we're so much stronger than them, it ends up not mattering as much because Indigo's ult can just get him straight out of this danger, and Nico got a flank um, on the Zaya, and we just clean up everything here. But that's even though this worked out for us, we end up getting a crazy amount off of this. Still, this is a common occurrence where we're staying at turrets for too long. Don't give them any opportunity. Just let your team regroup, especially when they have TP advantage on us. So we turn this into Baron. And then the last thing we're actually going to go over is directly after the Baron. And just to reiterate, the same thing we go over a lot is communicate how long your smite's down for and how much damage it does as well. And going into that Callista game as well, so you guys can combo your Rend and Smite together. Just so we have, again, you try to make everything as smooth as possible. And standing on the back of the pit it hits the hardest, so you almost died there for that. Um, so immediately after this, though, we uh, rush way too far ahead onto the map. So the first thing we should notice at this point, you guys are doing a good job of getting some vision control, but the only problem with us even needing to use a sweeper at this point is even if they have a ward in this area, down the river we won't care about. We're trying to advance now because we Baron, so we're going to want to go this way with our vision control. The most important thing is he's way up here. We should wait for him. Plain and simple. Um, and we have TP match now, so we can match the TP play if we need to. But all this comes down to is we should not even be trying to sweep or get vision control until Indigo's back with us. Because we have no clue where their 3-man group is, and we just need to be more cautious, especially with Baron. This is where we should literally cut 5 minutes off this game, at least 5 minutes off this game, and then we just get careless going in for vision. Then Kessler tries to back up as well, and then we end up losing two people with the Baron buff. So this is just, again, same common thing that I keep saying to you guys is slow down. And then once he died, you should have been out of there a lot earlier too. Just once that mistake was made, just bail on it and then just try to hang on basically. Because now we're really forcing on everything. So now we're down two guys, and Toads isn't with us because he was taking care of the wave on the bottom side. So this could have turned out a lot worse for us. But this is just, again, us trying to do trying to we basically get too excited. So we're doing a great job this whole game with a lot of different things. Obviously, we went over some things, but this is the same occurrence where if we're ahead the whole time and we get like a big momentum boost or swing, then we get way too excited and we stop thinking about like the fundamentals of the game basically of warding. You're going to go ward, you need to ward together kind of stuff. You need to clear an area for vision together. We need to be grouped before we do any type of advancing as well, especially when our strongest member was coming back from base still. So this is what I talked to you guys about, basically about getting too excited, because we really do. And again, like we have no vision of them. We know that they just cleared some vision of our own in the bottom jungle here, and we're wardless on the support. We don't have pink wards except for one in the pit and one back here. Um, it's just mistakes. And then the same thing I was mentioning at like these parts of the games too, Toads. Um, just having a blue trinket so you can kind of track when your guy leaves your lane could be very beneficial for us too. Um, just so we know, like, if we need you to go back sooner or get your TP play ready, all that kind of stuff. But these are just, yeah, we need to be backing at more efficient times, whether we're setting up for things or we need to get our vision control back, or not. I believe we still turn this fight around because again we're individually so much stronger. If their Nunu has 5 of their kills too, which is really bad for them damage wise. These these two were just beyond weak in comparison to the rest of our squad. So we still end up winning that, but again, these are simple mistakes that we could lose the game off of by just our back timings, everything. And then you can look at wave management here, which I haven't even talked about this game. But in this instance right now, we have two waves that are basically shoving into us. There's no objectives on the map right now. You guys could get that mid tier, that inner mid, and then just go take care of the wave management like immediately, and then start talking about what's next, which just came up on our board, which is the dragon. So, um, I still think you guys made um, some improvements in this game. I know this is, like I said, we probably could have cleaned this game up 5 minutes earlier. I feel like we could have closer to 5 minutes earlier. We could have won this game if we reduced majority of our mistakes. Obviously, we're not gonna make like a perfect game or anything like that happen, but like just reducing these mistakes will lead to us having so much more success, especially when we get to Nightfall, guys. The teams we're going to be playing are very good. Most of them are very good teams. They've been together for a while. There's a couple of them that are probably around the same time as us, but I bet you we're probably the newest team, as in we've only been playing as 5-man group for like a week or two now. So we need to really clean up these mistakes. Go ahead and talk to me about this game.